So this floats me just fine. I can stand on that board. Aloha everybody, hey, how's it going? Today, I want to talk about something that I haven't really talked about ever, I think. I talk about wing sensation, we talk about foil stuff, other things, but we've never really talked about boards. Boards in general, SUP boards, wing boards, foil boards. And first, let me show you real quick what I have going on here down my staircase. So, as you can see, the board there in white, that was my first and so far only downwind board, an SIC first production board, 14 feet. The blue one I have, it's a 12.6, it's an aged, repainted starboard board. And then I have some SUP surf boards there. But in all my 10 years of supping, I never really became, I never really got sucked into becoming a gearhead. I was always happy with my board. I pedal my downwinders. You never really had to be like, oh, this is my entry-level board, and now, but I want to work my way to that board. When I'm good, then I want to be on this board. And with winging and foiling, this has kind of changed. I have to have different boards, and I kind of have to work my way from one board down to the next board through my progression. And that's something that I kind of want to talk about today, and maybe see how I can help you guys with my experience. What's a good beginner board? Where do you want to ultimately go? And what kind of boards are in between to where you want to go, and what kind of advantages and disadvantages there are. So let's jump into it. So when you first start with your SUP foiling or supping or winging, whatever kind of board it is, your flotation is most important and your stability. And a board like this Armstrong board is really, really helpful. This is a 511, it's 28 inches wide, and it has 99 liters in volume. 99 liter volume. And the formula with your bodies in kilos plus 20 liters really, really works. So when you decide to buy a board in the beginning, keep that in mind. I'm personally 75 kilos plus minus. This is a 99 liter board, so this floats me just fine. I can stand on that board, no problem. It's very stable and it's very floaty. One thing I want to say is that in order to stand on a board like this, you want to have some sort of a experience along with it in surfing or supping or along. If you have never stood on a surfboard or whatsoever, or supped or any kind of water sport or windsurfed, this still be definitely a little challenging. But for people, for newbies that go into a sport like that, tip-top learner board. It's wide and it's also, it's really light. But initially, I'm not into the sport because I want to be sticking to a board like this. That's not what I want. My goal is like, I want to be on this board. And then people are like, maybe like, yeah, well, but why? You can foil around and wing around on this as much as you can on that. Yes, but number one, I personally set myself a goal to do a water start, and I want to be able to have my prone foil is also my wing foil board. I want that. And I want to have the edgeability. I want to be able to have foot straps. I want to maybe learn how to do some jumps, and I have ambitions. And I feel these boards are just like, it's like a door. It's so bulky. I don't want to travel with a board like this. Small board you can take with, no worries. And you have two sports in one. Yes, here you can SUP foil, which of course you can't do with this. But anyway, that's just my personal preference. So I want to work my way down to a board like this. Then the next board that I have, and you guys might recognize it, that's the Indiana board we reviewed. That's a 44 liter board. And that's kind of like my next step where I'm like, okay, now I can wing a ding on the big board. Now, what can I do to go down to this? And I tell you guys, it is hard. This is 44 liters, so it is kind of like, it has a lot of flotation, but not enough to stand on. And it has not enough to push it with your feet underwater, like with the other one. So it's kind of like an in-between board. And it took me quite some time to get that figured out. I can start that board now after a few attempts in very, very calm waters. When it's choppy and shore breaky and all wavy, I still have a heck of a problem with that board. In fact, I spend hours and hours of frustrations trying to get that board started. Plus, one disadvantage, even though you can really travel with those inflatable boards, it is really heavy. I mean, this little board is most likely twice as heavy as, more than that. I mean, like, wow, yes. This board is definitely, I mean, this little board is heavy. That's definitely one of the disadvantages on this inflatable stuff. Although you can like travel with it and roll it up and it doesn't get damaged and all of that. That's a little bit of a give or take there. The next board, of course, 27 liter board plus minus. It's, I don't know, I forgot. It's like a 4.8 or a 4.7. And I have not yet managed to start up on that board. This is why it's kind of cool. We can make this a little bit of a progression, because at some point, I want to be able to start that board and retire all the other boards. Or maybe say I only use the real floaty one when the conditions are kind of questionable, and I still want to do light wind foil winging. Because with this, you do not want to get stuck out in the middle of a lake or get stuck out in the middle of the ocean, because this thing barely floats me. And then you have to paddle back to shore very hard. Plus, also, I have not learned yet on how to water start and get up the other way around. So with this one, I could do it. With the Indiana one, I can do it, but I can only start in one direction. So if I don't stick the chibe or my tack, I have to go out the same direction and then work back on my chibe. And then hopefully stick the chibe and come back in. So there's a lot of risk factors involved. So if you're not good enough and you don't know how to start those things on a dime, do not go out on those little boards that can carry you. You want to be on a big board. You want to be able to sit and stand on a board that has enough flotation when there is no wind, when you fall or God forbid you have an injury or something and you're out and you need a rescue. Those boards are not fun to be out there. But eventually, for traveling, etc., I want to be on a small board. I like the idea of having this agility and go into waves with it and have foot straps and jump and be kind of like, be that agile rider. Because even now, I've been wing foiling for quite a while now. It gets kind of boring after a while, just mowing the lawn, sailing in and sailing out. That's not really what wing foiling is about to me, just going in and out. You want to do maneuvers, you want to play with the waves, you want to progress and try new things out and not just go long distance. I find that kind of boring. And therefore, those boards, like that Armstrong beginner board for me, is definitely, I feel it's a little bit too big for this. So the Indiana, yes, I like actually that size. And I like the 44 liters. If I could have that as a carbon board, I would probably maybe go with something like this. Rather than that, I have not water started this yet. So that's going to be something we're going to take hopefully a look when the wind is back up again. And I will definitely work on my water starts here. And of course, if you guys want to actually try boards out and learn and carve and surf style, come to my shop in Lahaina. I have mini cruisers and longboards, and they are awesome when there's no wind, when there's no waves. You can try all of that out. So those are my 5 cents about boards. That's my thoughts about boards. We'll see where it all goes. I'd love to test some more boards. It'll be highly interesting, and how these boards can cross over. Again, just recap real quick. Beginner board, easy, low wind, wing, foiling, and subfoiling. Semi-beginner board there, or for kids, really good. Prone foiling is already possible. Subfoiling, forget about it. And then, of course, the very little one, prone foiling and also winging. And with this, it's actually kind of cool because I still have the fin blocks in here, so you could actually also surf this. So if you go on vacation, you have a 3-in-1. That's what you want. You want to have a 3 or a 2-in-1 at least. And a 2-in-1, I'm looking forward to you guys' comments. What boards are you riding? What's your preference? And have a little bit of a conversation started and see how my progression, how your progression is going. And hopefully we'll talk about it in a later video and see how everybody's doing with this whole Boarderama.